Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I've got a kind of a long quickie for you here today. We're going to be talking about white inks and pigments and doing a little bit of comparison. So I have several because I keep buying them, trying to find one that I like, okay? Because I actually use white ink a lot. So I've got the Hero Hues, several different kinds. I've got the scrapbook.com, I've got the Sukaniko, and I've got the Distress ink. I don't have a pad for it. And it's ink, but it behaves more like an oxide or a pigment. Anyway, first test we'll do is this tiny little stamp here. And we'll be doing a little bit of a stencil and a little bit of ink blending just to kind of compare them. So I'm going to start out with the Hero Hues, just the white ink. And really, it barely shows up when stamped. Then I'll do the Hero Hues Reactive, and I wiped off my stamp over there to the side. Lay that on. It shows up a lot better. That's the sea salt color. And then we're going to do the Distress ink. And again, I don't have a pad, so I'm just going to try and get ink onto my stamp from a little drop that I put on my silicone mat there. Try and get it as even as I can. Give that a little stamp. Man, it's okay. I pressed too hard. Probably not the best choice there for a stamp, but whatever. So now we're going to go into the oxides, and I'm going to start with the Sukaniko Brilliance and Moonlight White. Stamp that down, get that up there so you can see it a little bit better. And then I'm going to go in with the scrapbook.com white pigment ink. Get a little push. Shows up pretty good. Going to go in with the Hero Hues and the Unicorn White. Not bad, not bad. Not as juicy. And then this ink pad's almost empty. I've got a new one because I've gotten all kinds of blue on it, but it won't affect the ink. And that's the Ranger in the, which white is it? Glacier White. So I like the scrapbook.com ones. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some ink blending here. We're starting with this Hero Hues. And this is just the white, I think. Won't know until I put the lid on. Okay, that's the sea salt. That's a reactive. Then we're going to go in with the regular white ink from Hero Arts in the Hero Hues range. And then we'll go in with the Tim Holtz Distress ink in the Picket Fence and blend it out. Comes out a lot wider. So it says that it's ink, but I don't think it's a dye ink. I think it's a pigment ink, just by the way it behaves. So next we're going to go in with our pigments, and we're going to start in with the Unicorn White. And it goes on nice and heavy. You want to see how it blends out. I do a lot of ink blending and using white so that I can change my colors that I'm working with. Not necessarily the color, but the shade, the lightness. This is the Ranger, and in the Glacier White pigment ink. And you can tell it's the one I reach for the most. And I couldn't tell you why, except for I just like the way it blends. But I just found my white scrapbook.com ink when I was cleaning my craft room. And I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot about this. Open it up and I'm like, oh man, this stuff is nice. Blends out nice. It goes on nice and thick. But then again, that's a juicy, fairly new ink pad. And then we'll go in and test the Sukaniko Brilliance. And the reason that I'm doing this is I'm going to do a live later today, and it's going to involve some white ink blending. So I wanted to just kind of do a contrast and comparison of the white inks and kind of pick my favorites. And, you know, it's up to you to choose what you like best. But now we'll go ahead and do stencil. So we're going to start with the just plain white ink, this little tree stencil. And I'll use the same stencil on all of them. And really, I mean, it shows up okay, but I wouldn't say it's the best. It is a dye ink. The things I like about dye inks is it's easier to stamp over them and they dry faster. Okay, so now we're going to go in with the sea salt in the reactive Hero Arts. And I really like how this stuff blends. It blends really nicely. Okay. Didn't it see how that dries nice and quick, not smeary or anything? A lot of times I end up smearing my white ink. Okay, we're going to go in again with the Picket Fence, the Distress ink, and grab my little tree and get that blended on. And I cut my fingernails on. It's hard to pick stuff up off of that silicone mat. Not bad. Yeah, I can't complain. Still behaves like a pigment, so it probably is. It doesn't say on the bottle, so I can't say for sure. Go ahead and wipe off the stencil here and wipe off my little mat. Now I'm going to grab my pigment blending brush, and I'm going to start with the Ranger in the Glacier White. I can't tell you if some of the blue in that ink is transferring over. You'll see when I'm done and we do a comparison. Well, let's get this scrapbook.com. Get our little stencil out. And just get a little bit on the brush. Give it a couple of run-throughs. One thing I'd say is to keep it from globbing on the edges, you're better off to go light. But that one is really fairly white, but I do notice it's got just a slight, I don't want to say yellow, but it's a warm white. We'll go in now with the Unicorn in the Hero Hues, Unicorn White. Clean off my brush and swooshed it in. And this is sped up, but if I could have made it go faster, it probably wouldn't have worked out, but I think we're good. That one comes out not bad either. Once we're done swatching these, I'll lay them out and I will pick my favorite choices. And finally, we're going to go in with the Sukaniko Brilliance in the Moonlight White. Clean off my brush. Lay down my little stencil, swoosh it in. Not bad. Not bad at all. One thing I don't like about when doing stencils like that or masks is the pigment tends to build up on the edge, so it's better to work from the inside out. But this is just a quick demo, so that's how it's going to go. Let me get my mess cleaned up here. And then I'll pull out and we'll vote. Okay, we're going to start with the pigments and take a look at the color. Again, the scrapbook.com is a warmer white. The rest seem a bit cooler, but I'm still choosing at #1 for thickness, then the Sukaniko, then the Hero Hues Unicorn, and then the Ranger. And for the inks, and I'll put a question mark on the Tim Holtz because, again, I don't know if it is a pigment or not. But definitely the sea salt, followed by the Tim Holtz, and then the regular Hero Hues White. Anyway, that's it for my white ink demo, guys. Hopefully you can look at some and choose. That one is done with a stencil, and I actually use a stencil brush, so just some of the uses for white, and this one is why I use white to lighten things up. Thanks a bunch. You guys have a great day. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Thank you.